What's going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to go over some upcoming news to look out for. Some news that just released today. We're also going to look at Bitcoin and Iren on the chart. Iren reported earnings. I'm personally pretty happy with the results. They did miss their EPS. They were expecting a profitability, but I think most of us knew better, seeing what the other Bitcoin miners have recently posted. But anyways, we'll go over that when we get to it. First off, let's look at this. A lot of news articles are covering this, and this is something we are going to see more of. There are now 172,300 people worldwide who are crypto millionaires, a 95% increase compared to last year. So it's doubled since last year. Makes sense because of this insane bull run we had. The number of Bitcoin millionaires has gone up to 85,400. And this is an interesting quote that sums it up pretty well. These milestones have seeded a new era of crypto adoption, one where digital assets increasingly cross-pollinate with traditional finance and global mobility. If you follow Bitcoin's short history, you'll see that over time, it's pretty clear that we will see more and more crypto millionaires, Bitcoin millionaires, as the years progress. Now, I do want to show you guys Bitcoin, and you can see that we're trying to reclaim this ascending support that we did break. Also, you'll notice that Bitcoin heavily reacts to moving averages, specifically the 50 and 200 MA. And I'll give you plenty of examples in this short history here. You'll see we found resistance on the 50 MA and headed down, had a clear reaction. You'll see when we finally broke it, we had a clear reaction to the upside. You'll see we tried to maintain it here and eventually broke it, and you'll see the reaction to the downside. You'll see the reaction on the break of the 200 MA as well, a further drop. And when we cleared it to the upside, you saw a big run and an attempt to hold the 50 MA as support again and again and again until it dropped and we reacted to it. There is clearly reactions to the 50 and the 200 MA. They are going to be important to keep an eye on. And most recently, we found resistance on the 50 MA. We did recently see a death cross. I do think this will turn out to be a false read. We do get them from time to time. Technicals are never 100%. There are going to be false reads. There are going to be fake outs. There are going to be indicators that say, oh, maybe it's time to sell. And then Bitcoin goes on to rally some more. Or, hey, maybe it's time to buy. And then Bitcoin goes ahead and dumps some more. In the end, I do believe 4-year cycle is key. Above all else, supply and demand, it's the most simple mechanic in economics. And thanks to the halving cycles, thanks to the 4-year cycle, Bitcoin will always have a bear cycle somewhere in between the halvings. And right around the halving will be the bull run. There will of course be a run up leading up to the halving, anticipation of it. And we have seen that every previous halving, including this one. I do think it'll be important to reclaim the 50 and the 200 MA, eventually see the golden cross that we're hoping for. Let me show you that there were times that we saw death cross and then Bitcoin went on to create new higher highs. We saw death cross right here in March of 2020. I would argue though that this was related to the once in a lifetime health event, but we did see a death cross and then we went on to get a golden cross and rally. If everyone sold out on the flash of the death cross, they would have sold at like $6,000 Bitcoin and would have missed the roughly 10x to 69,000. How about right here later into the cycle, June of 2021, Bitcoin went down into the 35,000s. If this was the indicator to sell, you would have missed the subsequent run nearly to 70,000. The first run was about to 64. So these death crosses, golden crosses will definitely fake you out at times. Let me show you another great example of a death cross that would have basically totally screwed you. We have September 2023. We had a death cross flash right here at $27,000. What happened briefly after? Well, by October of 2023, we had a golden cross. We went on to rally. The market seemingly totally ignored this death cross. Right when we got the death cross, basically the bottom was in. Remember, these are lagging indicators. They are an indicator of a longer term trend, but that doesn't mean that it won't fake you out from time to time. And like I said, we recently got our death cross here. What do you guys think will happen? Are we gonna just continue down from here, break the 4-year cycle, break the supply and demand mechanic that is so strong in Bitcoin? Or is this going to turn out to be a false read? This ends up being the bottom. We get our golden cross shortly after, and we go on to create new all-time highs, take out 74,000, and start working our way into the 6 figures. Remember, the market can flip very quickly. Things can seem so negative, and then suddenly everything's euphoric. Let me remind you about the spot Bitcoin ETF hype. We had so much excitement leading up to the potential approval of these spot Bitcoin ETFs going live. Retail excitement, now Wall Street's finally in. This is going to give so much buying pressure. These spot Bitcoin ETFs are a great thing. And as a side note, they definitely are, but people got faked out. We had them release. Bitcoin went all the way to 49,000. The spot Bitcoin ETFs went live and we saw a sell-off all the way to 38,000. If people got spooked out here, if people said, oh, these spot Bitcoin ETFs were actually a terrible thing, we just sold off. Well, what really happened was it was profit taking. We ran up from like 26,000 all the way to 49,000 in the matter of a few months. We saw that little sell off, the shakeout, and then what did Bitcoin do? It went on to new all-time highs earlier than any halving cycle. We're ahead of schedule, guys. Let me remind you of past cycles where it seems like we're going to enter a bear market. You see these lower highs, lower lows, things start looking a little scary. We saw the same thing in many past cycles, this kind of a sideways downwards action, and then we finally break out and rally towards the end of the year. On the halving year, we rallied in 2020 right around October, broke out to new all-time highs, and didn't stop. What about 2016, the other halving year before 2020? Coming up towards the end of the year, we did see a big rally. We went from about 700 and something all the way into the thousands. And then coming into the post-halving year, so 2017, we did go on a huge run. And 2012 saw something very similar. Towards the end of the year, we started rallying. Getting into 2013 was where it went parabolic. The year after the halving year is always the parabolic year. Perhaps things don't play out, but this is going off of history. This is going off of what Bitcoin has always done since inception. It has done this 100% of the time. This is what we should expect. I really don't get the bearishness right now. I understand things might play out completely differently, but this really reminds me of past cycles when people are just fearful. You get that run up and then you start pulling back. People start thinking, oh, this is it. It's done. This is the end of the bull run. It's going to be the shortest bull run in Bitcoin's history. Why? On a cycle where spot Bitcoin ETFs brought in billions and billions of dollars. That explains the early all-time high. In a cycle where you have companies announcing buying Bitcoin, adding to their treasury, at a time where you have other countries announcing spot Bitcoin ETFs, I just don't see how the bull run is going to stop early here. And seeing where we are with the Mt. Gox repayments, to me it's clear that the bull run is not over. But in the end, it's up to you guys to decide. Is the bull run over or not? In the end, it's your money and your decision. We do have an important event coming up. This is going to be PCE, and this comes up on August 30th, tomorrow. And believe it or not, PCE is the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation. We also had Q2 GDP revised upwards, which is a good sign. We had it revised up to 3% from the 2.8% expected. And we got our final Q1 read, which was a 1.4%, but I'll leave this down below for you guys if you want to look over it. And then Iren did report earnings. I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't really expect them to post a profitable quarter. Pretty much none of the miners did, besides someone said Hive did, apparently. Idea for a potential future video. Revenue-wise, they did see a record quarter, and in terms of forward guidance, they expect 70 million complete break even. But this is nice. We are seeing revenue growth from Iren, despite the halving cutting rewards. They saw 54 million pre-halving, and we just reported a 57. That's great. They also have little to no debt, hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, and very close to profitability. Iren did gap up on this news. I would be careful. I would keep an eye on the 8 area and high 7s. This would be a fantastic area to be able to buy if we do get it. I wouldn't recommend buying Iren on a 17% up day. I would definitely wait for a retracement, wait for a cool down, wait for a red day. We had all this time to be buying during this fear. Zooming out to Iren on the long term, I do think we're going to slowly and steadily trend upwards. We are going to create new all-time highs soon, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. We're also going to continue to set new higher lows as we have been doing this entire bull run since the end of 2022. Follow the chart. A lot of these miners are in massive bull runs and people are ignoring it. People are saying the miners are doing so bad, but they ignore that, you know, we were buying these back here when like Iren was like $2, $3. We were buying CleanSpark when it was $2, $3, $4, $5, $1.60, up to $10. For a lot of us, it's going to be hard to justify buying Iren at $10, $15 when we were buying it well under $5. I'm not trying to rub it in anyone's face. That's not the goal here. The goal is you buy during the fear. You buy while it's low. You don't buy while it's high. You don't buy when everyone's saying, oh, Iren's going to go to 20 when it's $7 right here in July of 2023. You know how many people were saying it's going to keep running? You know how many people saying right here is going to keep running? You know how many people were saying it's going to keep running right here? Follow the chart structure. Every time since the bull market started, you want to buy Iren when it's oversold. Follow the RSI. Every buy on oversold or near oversold played out very well. See how it was oversold here and it went on to rally. Oversold here. We got a bullish RSI divergence. It sold off a little bit more, but you saw the RSI rising while the price was dropping, and we saw a huge positive reaction. You just had to be a little bit patient. Buying the RSI while it's low here played out well. Buying the RSI on the lower point played out well here. And I do think buying the RSI down here where we were will play out very, very well. If we get another pullback, it may be the final pullback for this overall bull run. I'm not going to be buying Iren, CleanSpark, etc. when they've been rallying. To me, 2025, late 2024 even, is the time to start slowly taking profits. The time to sell covered calls, making premium on your positions. Potentially selling some shares, trimming. As they run up, the level of equities versus the amount of cash in your portfolio, you want it to start to kind of rebalance it. Whether you like to have 20% cash, 30% cash, 10% cash, as these run up, it's my opinion that you want to take some profits, build up your cash balance in anticipation of crypto winter. It might come in earlier than people expect. We might be already looking at the top for Bitcoin. That's other people's opinion, not mine, but if that's your opinion, you definitely want to be taking profits into strength. Don't catch the FOMO bug and start buying late 2025. That is not what anyone wants to do, in my opinion. In the end, do your own research. If you want to buy at the end of 2025, that is your prerogative. Let me know what you guys think about Iren's results. Let me know how you're feeling about Iren on the chart. And let me know how you're feeling about Bitcoin. Soon, the last of the disbursements for Mt. Gox will be done. Soon, GBTC will have diminished all of their selling pressure, and things will get euphoric again. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.